Hey everybody, David Alter here for Rink-Wide Toronto, presented by Bodog. From sports odds to free casino games, make a play at bodog.net. And tonight, the Toronto Maple Leafs get ready to host the 11-2 best in the league Vegas Golden Knights right here at Scotiabank Arena. And the Toronto Maple Leafs got some good news when it comes to their goaltending situation. Just as I entered the building here, I saw Ilya Samsonov just kind of coming off the ice. He was working with goaltending coach Curtis Sanford, and that's a pretty good sign in his recovery from a knee injury he suffered on the weekend, that he was able to put on the full gear and take some shots and do some work that way. And head coach Sheldon Keefe confirming that he is about week to week at this point, but certainly a good sign that he was at least able to get out there given the injury. Of course, if you missed it, he was defending a penalty shot opportunity against Brad Marchand, kind of bent his knee back awkwardly, and that resulted in a bunch of changes for the Maple Leafs in goal. Erik Kallgren had to come in, play in relief. He made his scheduled start on Sunday against the Carolina Hurricanes, and he's the guy in the short term that's going to shoulder the load. And with both the first-string goaltenders gone, Keith Petruzzelli was signed and called up to the Maple Leafs on Sunday, and he will back up Kallgren, who will get the starting goal against the Vegas Golden Knights. Matt Murray did take part in the morning skate as well. Another positive sign for the Leafs goaltending depth. The oft-injured goaltender injured his adductor on October the 15th before his scheduled start against the Ottawa Senators, his former team. The fact that he's able to skate around and kind of get through that is a good sign that he might be ready to come back soon. There was no update as opposed to when that's supposed to happen, but he is scheduled to take part in the team's practice on Wednesday, and if he gets through that and they build him back up, then he could come back sooner rather than later. Line changes for the Maple Leafs going into this. In the game against Carolina, they shifted around the core four and moved lines 1 through 3 around. The only line they kept constant was Aston Reese, Kampf, and Mulligan, who had a pretty good game, and they will be on a line together as well. But Matthews is reunited with Marner, and Nylander will be reunited with Tavares, but all the other changes that they made mid-game in that second period will stick. That means you're going to see Michael Bunting move down to the bottom 6 like he did midway through that game. Nick Robertson will be on the second line with Tavares and Nylander. Alex Kerfoot moves back up to the first line to play with Matthews and Marner. And that fourth line of Aston Reese, Kampf, and Mulligan, who have been so consistent for the Maple Leafs, that's now kind of the third line based on the rushes there. They don't really define them that way. We kind of had them on the fourth line, but based on the minutes and certainly the way they rushed out here, that's kind of the third line now at that point, and probably should be. David Kampf was the team's third line center last year, and he's kind of back in that role again, in that shutdown role against what's going to be a very difficult Vegas Golden Knights team. The WWE belt, or the belt that the Leafs have been kind of handing around to the player of the game, that's kind of getting a lot of buzz. I know my friends out west think that it's a copied thing because the Vancouver Canucks do it the same way, but actually the origin behind that we learned today. A little bit more on that. It was Morgan Riley who went to attend the event here in August at Scotiabank Arena for a Monday Night Raw. Edge, who's from Toronto, had that belt kind of made. He already had copies of it and gave one of them to Morgan Riley as a gift for the team on his behalf. And so they've kind of had that belt around, and only recently did they start handing that out and making that the prize for the player of the game. We kind of joked around about other things that they had in the past. In the 1920 season, when Mike Babcock was head coach and the Raptors had just won the NBA championship, they were using a basketball. Then COVID happened, and they weren't kind of changing things around in the locker room anymore, so they stopped. And then those the 14-15 year, the dreaded Peter Horachek years, the Leafs kind of had a camo jacket that they were kind of handing around for the player of the game. Leo Komarov was like the last player to have it. Then when Peter Horachek got his first win as interim coach, they gave it to the coach. And then there was a long stretch of several weeks where he kind of hung on to it because the Leafs went on this crazy losing streak. Morgan Riley kind of joking with him earlier today, kind of said he hoped they burn that thing. So it's been an interesting tradition when it comes to these player of the game things. You see it all around the league, and the Leafs are going with this custom-made championship-looking belt as the trophy there. An update on Rodion Amirov. Remember Hockey Fights Cancer? They had that game on Saturday, and they had a little tribute to him. It appears as though he has stopped his on-ice training. Sheldon Keefe mentioned that he was kind of going through a battle right now, and his agent, Dan Milstein, confirmed moments ago that he has had to halt his on-ice training to get more treatment, and we certainly wish the best for Rodion Amirov and his recovery. And the Leafs activated Jordy Ben from injured reserve, the long-term injured reserve. Remember, he had that groin injury in training camp, really hadn't been seen except for the Marlies. He had some conditioning games over there, and so they activated him, and as a result of that, they sent Pontus Holmberg and Victor Mete back down to the Marlies. So the Leafs are at 22 players and have to kind of do some shuffling around. If they do get Murray back sooner rather than later, he would be that 23rd. So it looks like the Leafs are kind of, just preparing for eventualities in the short and long term. Myself and Rob Wong will have your post-game show. Make sure you like and subscribe the Rinkwide Toronto podcast. It is Rinkwide Toronto, presented by Bodog, the place for free casino games, poker tips, and the latest sports odds. Rinkwide Toronto, pregame, postgame, every game.